Welcome everybody to day 11. Today is the gratitude for gifts. So I'm going to start off with a story. This is a real life story. A few decades ago, there was a little boy who once stepped into his backyard, and he noticed on the fence in the backyard at the very bottom of one of the pieces of wood, there was a hole. And he noticed that the hole was through and through, that he could actually look at the yard behind his house through that hole. So he bent down and peeked into that hole, and he noticed that the house behind his house where he was seeing was quite dilapidated, broken down, not very well kept. The grass was overgrown. Clearly the whole place was not as it could have been, not well maintained. Now, suddenly, this little boy feels like he needs to back up. He needs to step back and stand up. And he gets up and he goes a few feet back, expecting something is about to happen. And sure enough, as he steps back, he sees a little hand appear in the hole. And then the little hand leaves something there at the hole. Quite an amazement of what just happened there, because he had a premonition. This boy goes down there, looks at it, and it's a beautiful sheep, a toy sheep. But the sheep is also quite worn down. The wool is worn down, the wheels have fallen off. And then very curious to see who that little hand was, knowing that it must have been a boy about the same age as he was, he looked in through the hole, hoping to find the boy, but there was no boy. The boy had gone. So very eager to reciprocate this gift that he had just been given, this unique little sheep that he has not seen ever before, anything like it. So the boy runs into his house, gets something he could find, and he finds an acorn that is just opened up with this resins. It is full of fragrance, and he goes and puts the acorn there in the hole as a return. But the boy on the other side is gone. Now, this story stays with this person as he grows up. And every time this person walks past a toy store, his eyes are automatically pulled towards the toys, looking for a sheep, anything that looks like the sheep, but then he cannot ever find one. And so this man realizes three things through that experience that moves him so greatly for the rest of his life. He says, there is the friendship, there's a brotherhood that you feel when you're amongst brothers. That's marvelous. And then there is a friendship, there is a love that we feel from our relatives and loved ones, the care that we feel for them. That is the fire in our soul to go out and do things. But then he says there's the third kind, which is a sense of caring, a sense of somebody looking, watching over you while you're sleeping, while you're weak, while you are fearful, while you're sick. That is a priceless gift. It is a gift that tells us how much we are all united. It opens up our minds to be able to see the great gift of community, togetherness, oneness, the connections that we all have. So this is the story of Pablo Neruda, the famous poet from Chile. So as we listen to this story, ask yourself, how many gifts have we received? And is there gifts that are inherent in this lockdown that we're facing right now? And as I reflected on it, I found some gifts there. So number one is, if you look at it, we are like refugees. There was a refugee crisis that displaced, like I mentioned the other day, 16.5 million people are currently displaced because of either war or terrorism. And today, what are we doing? We're 7 billion people all taking refuge in our homes. So I invite you to look into, can we take refuge in our hearts? And a refugee who goes on to become somebody who makes something of his or her life is one who can learn lessons from the episode that put us in this place to start with. So what are you learning from this episode? Number two, this is like a virus that has infected the system. And when the system gets infected, it needs to be taken into overhaul, and it needs to be completely overhauled and rebooted. So this is like, you've probably seen this cartoon or this meme that's going out there. It's like the deities, the angels, call it whatever you want. They're looking down at us and saying, the same principle that you say, turn off and turn on, will probably fix any problem. Maybe this is that turning off and turning on that we're doing, that rebooting for the entire planet, so we can get back to functioning in our humanity. And then the third lesson that I see from this episode is that we are more connected. We are more closer to each other as we retreat. So this is like a global retreat that is happening right here, where we're all taking the time to be indoors, right? So what happens on retreat? So we go indoors with 7 billion of our nearest kith and kin, everybody on this planet. And two things happen at retreats. One, we tune inwards. Listen to the voice of the heart. Listen to that voice that we have ignored for a long time. And then the second thing we do at a retreat is we tune upwards to divine guidance. Call it your higher self, call it the universe, call it God, call it whatever name you want. So let us take this time to tune in to that greater message, the profound learning, the profound wisdom that is being whispered, but we never slowed down enough to listen to it. So before we dive into the meditation for today, I ask that we do a embodiment exercise to drop into the bodies. And today's exercise, I ask that if you're sitting on a chair or sitting on the floor, whatever it is, use your back as the means for support. And as you're breathing out, I want you to take a nice spine twist. So completely twist and look as far back as you possibly can over your shoulder. Breathing in, coming forwards, and doing it on the other side. As you're breathing out, extend, twisting your spine, looking back over your shoulder as far back as you possibly can. Let's do this a couple more times on either side. Extend, breathing out. Come back to center. Twist to the other side. And one last time. Taking in some deep, comfortable breaths into your belly. Let us drop into our heart space. using the breath as the anchor, tuning inwards. Let's gradually open up to the silence of being. Open up to befriending this silence. Gratitude is an affirmation that there are good things in the world. Gifts and benefits I've received. And I recognize the source of this goodness are outside of myself. I acknowledge that other people, the Supreme Being, and Mother Nature gave me many gifts, big and small, to help me achieve this goodness in my life. An attitude of gratitude makes one resilient. Now, I want you to think of the good things in your life, which you may have taken for granted at times. Go ahead and make a list in your mind. If you have food in your refrigerator, clothes on your body, a roof over your head, a place to sleep, you are richer than 75% of the entire world. If you have money in your wallet, a little change, and have traveled to places that you dreamed of, you are on the top 18% of the world's wealthy people. If you are alive today and with more health than illness, you're more blessed than 1 million people who will not survive this week and die. If you can actually hear this message and understand it, you are more fortunate than 2 billion people in the world who cannot hear, suffer mental retardation, or don't have access to such information. Now recall people that have been a blessing in your life. Let's start with the innermost circle. Your parents, your partner, relatives. And ask yourself, how have they contributed to your life? Extend that circle to include your friends and ask, how have they contributed to your life? Extend that out even further to classmates or co-workers. Extend that out further into the community. These service providers who are helping for life to continue smoothly without much struggle on our part. People who are keeping us safe. Include the farmers who grow your food and the people who are working to bring safe water into your house. Extend it further to those heroes, dead or alive, who fought for the liberties and rights that you enjoy in your life, many of which you may have taken for granted. Extend your gratitude to Mother Nature, who shelters you, feeds, and keeps you warm. While there is much anxiety over the spread of disease, there are many hidden blessings within it. Thank you, Mother Nature, for stopping us in our tracks. The earth was begging us to look at the pollution for a very long time, but we hadn't listened. Thank you for all the fear. It's been a global disease for years, but not many of us want to face it. And now we have to face it and learn to embrace it with love and support of the community. Thank you for making us appreciate the luxuries we lived in: abundance, freedom, and health, and realizing that we're taken for granted. Thank you for finally letting us understand how connected we all are. Every one of us on this planet. Thank you for the unity between all of us. We knew the world had to change. Thank you for helping us undermine everything else and giving us the chance to build the world from the beginning. This virus is a part of us. It's in us, around us. This virus has connected us all. This attitude of gratitude will change how you show up in the world. When you count your blessings, you light up. Your life lights up. Now let us take this light and share it with those who are struggling with the fear of darkness right now. As you bring yourself back into your heart space, ask yourself this question. Where does my life hurt right now? Where does my life hurt right now? Just whenever you're ready, if you had your eyes closed, gradually open them up. And I want you to share what came up in this quite a profound inquiry. Where does my life hurt right now? I'm getting responses. It hurts that I had to let go of my nanny and she lost her income. Yes. My broken heart. I'm constantly struggling to find purpose in my life. Loneliness. Yes. I can think of small things, but not anything that I can't deal with. Very good. Both are good. Recognizing whether you have hurt or recognizing that you don't, both are good, because part of the process is about when you shine light to those dark places that you avoided. You see, what happens is whenever there's an uncomfortable feeling, yesterday we talked about the motivational triad: pursue pleasure, avoid pain, and conserve energy. So that take a second point. When we have any pain that seems to be bubbling up, go get something, get some coffee, get some, buy a car, buy something else, go indulge in a movie or, share something on Facebook. So here we are taking time to actually say, you know what, we're not going to avoid it anymore. There's no distractions here. We're going to get real and listen to where I'm feeling the pain. And if I feel it, I can name it, then I can start healing it and not run away from it, because running away from it is not going to heal anything. It's going to be an unhealed scab that will always be an irritant. And it'll show up at the most unexpected of times, inconvenient of places. And there's always the threat that you might get hurt in the same place. And so you keep hiding yourself, protecting yourself from opening up and being the love that you are. So folks, this is not a means of making you uncomfortable, but it's in the comfort of our silence and our comfort of our collective warmth, love, can we feel the safety of looking within and looking if there is something that needs to be healed. I'm getting more answers. Worrying. Our friends, there are many people who must be wanting help. Yes, I feel, there's a pain of others. Not able to see my parents. Yes. Okay, now I ask that you please consider formulating any questions that you might have and putting it down in the Q&A section. Yes, and I'm seeing some comments here. I'm not hurt. I'm growing. I'm going nearer to nature. Yes, wonderful. Okay. Any questions that you might have that has come up either today, yesterday, any other time? Being aware of my blessings, yet equally being hyper aware of how millions don't have these blessings, such as children who are abused or are human trafficked. Yes, these are real issues, and our compassion for that is going to propel us. So somebody asked, I'm going to repeat this, that somebody asked a few days ago, the difference between empathy and compassion. Both begin with feeling the other person's situation. But empathy takes it and keeps it. Compassion is motivated to act upon it, to help relieve. And that relief could be through thoughts, words, or actions. It doesn't have to be all necessarily going out and doing something. It could be, it very well could be going out and doing something, but it could be as simple as a good wish, a kind word, a shoulder for them to lean on. Okay? So yes. Related to my earlier comment, how do you find purpose in life? Does everyone have a purpose? Yes, yes, that's a whole workshop in itself. But let me tell you something very simple, a quick methodology to help you to find your purpose. Okay, these are 4 steps, 4 questions you got to ask yourself. Number 1, what do I love doing? Number 2, what do other people say I'm good at? And what do I know I'm good at? Right? What do I love doing? What am I good at? What do other people say I'm good at? And what does the world need? Okay. So if you put these 4 questions together, magically you arrive towards pointing you to the direction of what your purpose is. Got it? Okay. All right. Lynn is asking the question, well, there's a question before that. Could meditation be a solution for anger? How much? Can you quantify, please? I love this. Can you quantify, like what? Am I going to put it on a spectrum and say 20% of your anger is going to go away in the first 8 meditations? No, I can't quantify. It's a personal thing. Because why is it a personal thing? It's because we each all have a different story, a different set point from which we've come, right? Some of us have been through certain circumstances. Some of us have been through other set of circumstances. Some of us have for whatever way, through emotional intelligence, through social emotional learning, or parenting, what have you, we have learned to deal with certain pent-up anger, and some people have not. So it's like a pressure cooker that's in complete, like waiting to explode. So one little thing and it's going to take off. And so for such circumstances, you need to do a lot more work, right? So I cannot give you a numerical quantifying answer, I'm sorry. But I tell you, meditation is an incredibly powerful tool because, see, fundamentally, how does it work? Now, so anger is one of the many emotions, right? Greed, jealousy, anger, ego, lust, etc. All of these things are all connected in that when I learn to regulate my emotions, like I've been doing many exercises over the last, today's the 11th day, and some of you have been following my work for many years. And not only just my meditation, their meditation has been going on for thousands of years, and there's many great teachers out there, living and dead. And if you study meditation, what it does is that it gives you the ability to extend that space between impulse and response, trigger and response. So reacting, but then I would like to change the word response, because I've talked about this, how reacting comes from the amygdala, which is your most primitive part of your brain, but the executive functioning of the brain, or the most evolved part of the brain, is what's behind the forehead here, the prefrontal cortex. And so the responses that come from there are thought through, they're cultivated, right? Whereas the fight and flight response system, which is part of the back of the brain stem, amygdala, that's where you react from. So there have been scientific studies that show that people who meditate even as little as 8 weeks show noticeable changes under fMRI. They can actually do brain scans that will show difference in your brain structure in as little as 8 weeks. So there's one little number for you to go off of. Okay. Next question. What can we do to seize this opportunity and to bring people into awareness that we all will need to change how we live on the earth so that we do not destroy her? Yeah. You know, Lynn, so here's my response to that. It's not our job. It's my job is to fix myself. My job is to take my lessons. My job is to set right my course where I'm sailing towards. My job is to adjust my sails so I'm able to pick up the winds of this change and take me further to my destination, whatever that is for you, your moonshot. And as I mentioned earlier on in this series, and I don't mean to freak the heck out of you guys, but you see, Mother Nature, like mother, any mother, your mother, my mother, when she calls me to step up, when she calls me to do something, and I do not yield to that, I ignore it, what happens? Mama has to raise her voice. She has to change her tone, change her pitch. And so she will crank up the volume till our thick skulls get it. You understand? So it's not your job, my job. My job is to fix myself. And if there is something that comes from my learning, share it with people who want to learn. Not sitting there on this corner of 16th and Mission and holding up placards. I mean, well, that's a nice way too, but that's not for me to do. That's not my style. Right? My job is to fix myself, and Mother Nature will come back to teach us if we do not yield to this. And when she does, so when I said when you crank up the volume, I even gave a very specific example of how she could crank up the volume. Today, what has happened? So we are all kicking and screaming, locked in our house for some of us 3 weeks, some of us more, some of us less, because one of our liberties has been taken away, our liberty to get out and mingle. Our right to assembly has been taken away. And so we are feeling all kinds of frustration. And some of us, of course, a little bit more extreme, lost our jobs. And, some people have lost loved ones even. I'm here beginning to hear people where this is actually hitting home here. So there's reality there. And if we do not learn, the volume that I'm talking about will come in two modalities. So let's just say power going out and we're locked inside. Or let's say internet going out and we're still locked inside. Or let's say water running out, or not, whatever reason, those people, those essential service providers that we are sending blessings to every day, for whatever reason, they decide that it's just too dangerous for them to get out there to keep those systems running, and our basic utilities run out. So you see, so you don't worry, Mother Nature will teach us till it penetrates into our thick skull. Okay, moving on. When I thought of my circle of influence, I remember being bullied when I was in school by my classmates. I didn't know it then, but now I do. Why do kids have to go through something like that? Those experiences are so rough that they leave big impressions on life. Yes, yes, yes. So listen, Gurpreet, I'll tell you one mantra that you can use for any person causing suffering on the other. Very simple mantra. Hurt people hurt people. Okay? So what we're seeing today in our society, at least here in America, we are growing jail cells faster than classroom benches. I mean, look at how sick the society has become. But the solution does not come in blaming, shaming, and incarcerating these people. It comes in educating, helping, alleviating them of their suffering so they don't go on to perpetrate their suffering and project it onto others. Okay, so now what is the solution for that? For the hurt that you have experienced, I have experienced, we've all at some point have experienced some sort of inflicting of pain on ourselves, self-love, forgiveness. When I sit in meditation, as I've been telling you, you can only pour what's in your cup. I take the love of the divine and fill my heart. I take the love of the divine to heal my heart of those wounds, those scabs, those things that I can't even remember. Sometimes, these things are so stuck in the subconscious mind from before, as far back in memory, but even before you can recall when you were in very early childhood, let's even say. So heal yourself with the divine presence of unconditional love, and then send that out. Send those good wishes out. Send that unconditional love out. Send that light of healing, like we've been doing pretty much every day in our meditations for the last 11 days, to others, that they may heal, that you forgive them. Because forgiveness is really not about them. It's about you. Resentment is me holding on to, me drinking poison, expecting the other person to die. So me holding bitterness is poison that is working on me. So very important, self-compassion, self-love, forgiveness. Okay, next question. What we plan is not able to execute as what we planned or thought. How can we make it executed without troubling anyone? Well, so first thing I say that being before doing. I don't know the details of what you're saying. We can go on to a full 2-year MBA course on this, executing plans, but I'll just say that being before doing, visualize what is it that you hope to see happen, hope to manifest, and give that light. Because I go back to something I mentioned yesterday in the meditation, where your attention goes, your energy flows. Where energy flows, it grows. So give it the energy and give it visualize that what you want to achieve and give it energy. Okay. So then there's a comment I'm seeing here. Why am I so calm now on day 11? I don't know, maybe the magic word 11, the number 1 and 1. So you're number 1. That's probably why, I don't know. Maybe just you had a great day, but it's been raining here in Sausalito. So yeah, you probably found a good reason to be grateful for so many things. Awesome. Next, how do you think, so do you think that you are the epicenter of the virus? No, I'm not. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we've got we got one more question. I'll just take this one question and then we'll probably call it wraps. I've healed from a deep past love and found so much self-love and empathy. I want to share my life and joy with someone, but seem to call in mismatches and fleeting flings, and often prefer to be solo as a result. You can't force the fit. So how to stay open? Well, one simple mantra, whoever's asking this question. You see, there is this desperation that I sense in this question, that I need to find a match, right? I need to find someone to share my life and joy. So a very simple thing. A lot of times people are conditioned into the belief that there is a better half. You need to go find your better half. But I ask that you consider you're not a half. You're complete and whole just as you are. So the moment you let go of this craving, this desperation that I'm sensing a little bit in this question, then you will begin to open up and see what flows. Okay? Folks, we have come to the end of our time. Thank you very much. So let's see, the takeaways are finding ourselves in retreat right now gives us the opportunity to do 2 things. Number 1, tune inwards. Number 2, tune upwards. This is an opportunity where we are all in refuge in some sense or the other. So let us go into the refuge of our heart space. Let us learn the lesson, like somebody asked, a very good question that came up today. Can we take away lessons that we do not have to mother to repeat with a louder voice? And the third thing is noticing that we are all deeply connected, and we need to use this reboot time to share as much as we can with true unconditional love. So I will see you tomorrow. Please stay with these meditations. Be well. Until then, have a good day.